Yep, it's a face reveal. This is what my ugly mug looks like. And you're going to want to hang around to see what happened this week. I'll explain my voice. Just hang around. So, this is the best I could do. I hate not riding my motorcycle, not being able to ride my motorcycle, but if I do, it could cost me my life. So, yeah, I will ride my motorcycle again someday, but until all this surgery and stuff is over with, I won't be able to ride it. But this is what best I can do for you. You got to forgive my glasses here. I do have notes written down on a whiteboard sitting in front of the tripod. Wow, I shouldn't be here. If it wasn't for the great doctors and nurses at Baylor Scott and White Hospital in Temple, I wouldn't be here. Last Sunday, Sunday the 5th, I think I dropped this, the latest YouTube video going before this that day. I started coughing blood up again. Now, every time I've done this, you've seen, me, hey, I coughed up blood. It's been worse and worse. When I got to the ER this time, on Sunday the 5th, I was coughing up so much blood that I couldn't catch my breath. I could not breathe, and I passed out. And that's the last thing I remember on Sunday. All right? They had to intubate me and breathe for me. I stopped breathing. All right? And then they put me into a coma. All right? During the coma that I was in, they went back in just like they did the week before with the camera, sprayed some lidocaine or whatever it is in there that causes the stuff to stop bleeding, the cells in there to stop bleeding, and it worked kind-of-ish, okay? They didn't know it didn't work that great. It started bleeding again, but they didn't know it. So on Wednesday, they wake me up on Wednesday. And let me tell you, if you have never woke up with tubes in your throat, it's a trip. There's a reason they strap your arms to the gurney, because you automatically want to try to pull those tubes out. And that's the reason why I'm having trouble talking also. And because I had breathing tubes in my mouth for 3 days. Okay? So they woke me Wednesday, after they'd done the camera thing again, and made sure I could breathe on my own without the respirator before they decided to pull the tubes out. So I'm sitting there, sitting upright on the bed. The oxygen therapist person that does this stuff takes the tube, tells me to cough, and pulls the tube out. Now there's still a feeding tube in there too, but it's going through my nose, through my nasal, up in there. And so she pulls it out, and this big blob of mucus and blood comes out after the tube comes out. And it's about the size of a softball. And it looks like an alien movie. I just gave birth to an alien. I could tell that the oxygen specialist, nurse, and the doctors had never seen anything like that before, because they were like shocked. And the funny thing is, after that, I was fine. I was talking to them. Wow, what the heck happened? They were asking me what day it was. I thought it was Sunday, because they put me in a coma Sunday, so I still thought it was Sunday. This, that, and everything. All of a sudden, I started vomiting, and it was pink, blood, all kind of stuff. It started vomiting and throwing up and throwing up and throwing up, and once again, I couldn't catch my breath. So they had to intubate me again and put me back under again and breathe for me again. Twice they saved me. Twice. Alright? So they were trying to figure out what to do now. So they got me under again, They got me hooked, got the tubes in and hooked me back up to the respirator to breathe for me. And they go in with the camera again and realize it's bleeding again. And there's old blood in there. So they stick a tube down in there and they suck out as much of that old blood as they could. But it's starting to bleed again, every little thing. And so they, had a decision to make, and so they had a decision to make. I'm looking at my phone for some notes. They had a decision to make. They keep going in there and spraying the thing with lidocaine and getting it to bleed, and that's like putting a Snoopy Band-Aid on a wound that needs 10 stitches, kind of thing. It's stopping it momentarily. I'm going to bleed to death. I'm going to drown, okay, is what's going to happen. So they went back and forth, and the doctors that do stents in your heart kind of thing, one of the doctors come up with an idea. So what they were going to do is take me off the blood thinners, because I do have the 2 stents, and they believe the blood thinners is causing all the bleeding, and they just can't get it to stop. But it takes a while for the blood thinners to get out of your system. So they said, it's a bigger risk that you're going to lose your airway than it is that you're going to have a heart attack. It's a high risk that I'm going to have a heart attack because I'm not on the blood thinners, but it's a bigger risk that I'm going to drown to death, basically, from my own blood in my lung. So we stopped the blood thinners. Still on the aspirin. Meanwhile, one of the doctors came up with an idea, and they discussed it with the doctors that do the embolo, the stents in your hearts and in your stuff, and asked them if there was a way that they could basically turn off my left lung. Take the way they do the stents and run it over to the lead lung, and then there's a way they can block the artery, the main blood flow to my lung. Asked them if that was possible. And the doctors that do that kind of stuff said, well, they've never done it. And I'm just checking to see the camera's still on. They've never done it. But they think it was possible. But, at the time, it was the only thing they could come up with to save my life. So that's what they did. It's called I got it right here. Transcatheter embolism. Now, those have been done before, okay? But it's never been done to the point where they cut the blood supply off to a lung. I'm the first person ever, period. Nobody else has ever had that done to them. They went in there. It took them a while, all right, because you got to be conscious during this stuff. So they woke me up. I'm laying there with the tubes in my mouth, and I'm giving little signals to the doctors, blinking my eyes and different things like that when they ask questions. But they ran wire from a vein, because they couldn't go in an artery because I'm on blood thinners. I was on blood thinners, but it's still, it went through a vein, ran it up to the main artery, blood supply artery of my left lung, and basically clogged it up, shut it off. And here I am, guys. All right? Here I am. That was Wednesday also. This is all Wednesday. So they did that. I returned to ICU after they did that, and they, made sure I was able to breathe on my own again. They took the breathing tubes out again. All right. Like I said, that stuff's a trip. I ain't kidding. That's a trip. But nothing other than a little spittle came out with the breathing tubes. So we're looking good so far. All right. So there I am in ICU. This is Wednesday. They woke me up for the second time. I spent the night in ICU. Had a little bit of trouble breathing, on my own, catching my breath, and I still am a little bit, nothing major. Other than that, though, it went well. I was no longer coughing up blood. All right? No longer coughing up blood. What they did worked. And I'm not going to edit out coughing, guys, because that's a part of my life right now. So it worked. They saved my life. They turned off my lung. they cut the blood supply off to my lung and kept me from bleeding to death, basically. And I'm home again. Now what that does is it changes things, because before I was going to do radiation and chemo, and then they were going to remove the lung and go from there. Now what they're going to do is I'm no longer taking the blood thinners. I still am taking baby aspirin. They can handle that kind of bleeding. Hopefully I don't have a heart attack from a blood clot not being on the blood thinners. The risks that you know, I'll have to take, because they're still afraid, even if the blood supply is cut off, the vessels still could bleed on their own, because anyways, it's a big old long mess. So I'm no longer on the blood thinners. All right. So instead of doing radiation and chemo now, and then removing the lung, on July 27th, they're going to go in there and remove that lung. They're getting it out of there. July 27th. And then, once the all the stuff comes back from the lab, what we can do from there, if I need to do chemo, definitely need to do chemo. All right. But am I going to do chemo and radiation? We don't know yet. But I will do chemo for a while. Radiation is up in the air until they get all the pathology back from the lab once it's done. So hopefully I can stay alive until July 27th when they remove my left lung. Like I said, great people at Scott and White Hospital. They saved my life twice. And wow, I mean, here I am. I shouldn't be here. Matter of fact, it got so bad in the ER at one point, one of the ER doctors called my daughter-in-law and, you know, just to brace the family, said, listen, we're doing everything we can, but I'm not sure if he's going to make it. That's what they told my daughter-in-law while I was in the ER. But here I am. Like I said, it wasn't for them. And there's a nurse that was great, an ICU nurse. They're all great, all the doctors and everything, but she was really great. She kept my family well informed, everything else. One of the best nurses, talking to me, everything. Even when I was conscious and stuff, she had good ways of communicating. She was just great. And I said, even with there's a picture I have with the tubes still in my throat. I'm doing a selfie with her. And she said I had to make her famous if I did the selfie with her. So go to my Instagram page. You'll see the picture of me and that nurse. Here, I'll put it on here if I can. Pause the screen and you'll see her handle there. And go to my channel or you know, her deal, and hit her up and thank her for you know, doing that. Like James Yeager did. James Yeager hit her up on her handle with that picture of me and her, thanking her for you know being such a good nurse and stuff and taking care of me. And there's thousands of views of it already. But let's make her famous, right? So while I was in the hospital in a coma, apparently I hit 200 subscribers. I appreciate every subscriber I get on the way to the 100,000 subscribers, because I still want that play button. When I get there, there's just no telling, or if I actually will get there. But I appreciate everybody that watches this channel. Please leave us a thumbs up. Leave a thumbs up. That helps the algorithm. You know, it makes other people able to see it over there in the suggested selection of the suggested side. You have to forgive my throat, guys. Of the YouTube channel. That thumbs up helps out. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe so I can get my numbers up there. I appreciate that. Don't forget to click on the read more section of the description, and you'll find links to my helmet, my cameras, links to the undercover shirts that I wear that I conceal my backup weapon with, links to everybody on YouTube that's trying to help me out, Shade Tree Surgeon, his channel, his Discord, James Yeager. I'll put a link down there. I'll put that hero nurse of mine. I'll put her handle down there if I can. On and on. all kind of good stuff down there. Instagram, Facebook, you name it, all down there, and read more part of that. But more importantly, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and go visit people down there that are helping me out, and let them know you come over from my channel. So that is for now. All I gotta do right now is wait till the 27th. Try to survive until the 27th, when they're gonna do the lungotomy and remove my left lung, and then we'll go from there. So if you hang out, we'll keep on going if I can. So you know how it goes. If you have served, or if you're currently serving in our nation's military, you're a firefighter, EMS, first responder, especially law enforcement, if you're on the front lines, nurses, doctors, even janitors, fighting, to keep us healthy during this pandemic and risking your life. We appreciate everything you do for us and the sacrifices you and your families have made. Ladies, flash a stranger today. Boom.